Bridge of Spies is directed by Steven Spielberg and stars Tom Hanks and is about a lawyer in the middle of the Cold War who agrees to represent someone who was caught in America as a Soviet spy. So obviously at that time he becomes a very unpopular person because everyone hated the Soviets during the Cold War, and he becomes even more unpopular when he agrees to help negotiate between said countries about the exchange of a prisoner of war because he doesn't really have a political status. He's just a lawyer, but the CIA feels that he's good at talking, so they hire him to do this incredibly difficult and actually dangerous job, and this is a true story, and I love this movie. Now, I went into Bridge of Spies just hoping, because, you know, you don't always quite know what you're gonna get with Spielberg. More than likely, it will always be a well-directed movie. But there's two different types of well-directed Spielberg historical movies anyway. There's the Saving Private Ryan, the visceral entertainment that you actually could watch again, and then there's the Lincoln, the well-directed, very well-acted movie that is a great movie, but are you really gonna pop in Lincoln with your friends? Probably not. So I was curious to see where Bridge of Spies fit into his filmography, and I gotta say, I can easily see myself watching this movie again, and I'm looking forward to buying the Blu-ray the day it comes out, which is interesting because my friends that I saw the movie with, everyone said, good movie, great movie. I just can't see myself watching it again, or at least not for a while, which I can understand because Bridge of Spies is not a movie like, say, Munich. It's a historical movie, but Tom Hanks isn't sent to the Soviet to assassinate spies. He's sent there to negotiate a deal. So a lot of the movie is talking. So if you're one of the people that leaves a movie going, that was a talking movie, that bored the shit out of me, then you'll probably be bored shitless with Bridge of Spies. But if you're the kind of person that actually gets tingles in your body when you watch a perfectly crafted scene, when a director cuts to a close-up at just the right moment for maximum emotional reaction, when you become aware of the fact that you've just been watching a scene in which two people are talking in a room with one long, wide take, and there's no breaks, when you notice that an entire scene was done in one take, but it doesn't appear that way because of Spielberg's brilliance at incorporating his characters in different places throughout his scene to simulate wide shots, to simulate mid shots, to simulate close-ups, and to simulate cuts that aren't actually happening. If this masterful, old Hollywood style of filmmaking is your jam, if that's what gets you going, then you're gonna love Bridge of Spies just like I did, because I cannot wait to rewatch this movie and examine the way Spielberg crafted it, because it is one of the best directed movies of the year, and it's so easy to say that because he's Spielberg and we know what to expect. Even his bad movies are well directed. They all look amazing, and so you know to expect these things going in to a Spielberg movie, and so it's so easy to be like, oh, it's Spielberg, it's well directed. But I'm not that person. I'm not gonna take that for granted, because it'd be so easy for Spielberg to just be like, I'm checking out. I don't care. I'm just going to make this one for the paycheck. I'm never going to take for granted this man's talent and the fact that he tries so hard with every scene, even the most minuscule dialogue scene that your average filmmaker might just view as a time waster scene to get you to the next action chase moment. Let's talk about Tom Hanks, one of the most likable actors in cinema history. This is his fourth collaboration with Spielberg after Saving Private Ryan, Catch Me If You Can, and The Terminal, and once again, he blows it out of the water. This is an Oscar-worthy performance. He's incredibly funny and just vastly everyman likable. Think Jimmy Stewart in Rear Window. This guy owns this movie. He's so terrific. There's an amazing scene in which he sits down in a restaurant and talks to someone who is following him and just blows him away, and it is beautiful, and it's all through dialogue. There's no action in this scene, and the large majority of this movie is negotiations and courtroom scenes, but what makes it so interesting is its underlying story. You get invested in this war that's going on, and it's never a war of physicality. It's always an emotional war, a war through words, and Spielberg directs it almost as if it is an action scene. He is so great behind the camera in this movie. Another performance in this film that really impressed me was the Soviet spy. I believe his name is Mark Rylance. He was magnificent in this film, and I gotta nominate him for Best Supporting Actor if I was part of the Academy. He really did a fantastic job. Really, all the performances are amazing. If I were to pick a negative with this movie, it would be that certain aspects of its second act can get a little weighed down in the American prisoner story. I didn't find that nearly as interesting, and it was definitely there to make you care a little bit more, save for one incredible plane scene, which I won't spoil what it is, but it's one of the best of those types of scenes I have ever laid eyes on. Guys, Bridge of Spies is not one of Spielberg's greatest movies. You're not going to want to pop this in every other day. There's no action scenes. There's nothing of a thrilling nature in regards to a visceral experience like Munich or Saving Private Ryan or Schindler's List. It's not fun like Jurassic Park, but what Bridge of Spies is literally one of the best Cold War thrillers I've ever seen, with an excellent performance by Tom Hanks. It's a very funny and likable movie, and it is masterfully crafted. I'm gonna give Bridge of Spies an A. But if you don't like those talking movies, then you probably won't enjoy this film. Guys, my Steven Spielberg series has now ended. I recently reviewed 3 of his other films, Duel, Minority Report, and Hook. Those are all on my channel right now if you'd like to check those out. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.